Right, good morning everybody. It's so nice to see such a full room here in Hexham. It's our first conference that we've held in the West, and it's proved to be the right thing to do because we have so many people in the room today.
So I wanted to say thank you to NDTi for inviting me here today to take part in this conference. Dean Jackson, who's my Director of Education, he opened the conference yesterday, so you've got me as the stand-in today, really. 7 out of the 8 local areas that within the North East have been inspected and have been found to need a written statement of action because they've found significant weaknesses. Northumberland is no different in that, and we held our hands up during our inspection to identify the fact that we knew that we hadn't progressed in the way that we felt that we should have done, and for some of you will have already heard this spiel, but the inspectors actually recognised and described our self-assessment as being disarmingly honest. And I say that to you because I don't want you to think that in any way, shape or form we think that we are providing what we need to provide as effectively as we need to provide.
It's opened up some ideas for us to think about going forward. The information that's been provided has been useful, and we think it's been a very worthwhile time out of our day.
Just a little bit about the data, just so that you understand some of the picture. We have approximately 2,000 children who have an education, health and care plan within Northumberland. That's an inordinate amount of children that we need to make sure that we meet the needs of. We also have a further approximately, and it does change, approximately 5,000 children who have special education needs of some form or other, which means that they require additional help.
So far, the 3 schools my son's gone to, first, middle and high schools and high school now, schools have been great. The staff have been switched on. Not all of them, but generally speaking, more have had more positives than negatives. I know lots of people who've had the absolute reverse. And so, and I came along today and knew 2 people I know it's a small community getting bigger, sadly.
Children who we are, as a consequence of that, placing out of county, which is not where we would want to place our children. We would want them to be educated near to home so that they can maintain access effectively to their families. And we know that we have a high level of exclusions, both permanent exclusions and fixed term exclusions, and we know that children who have special education needs are highly represented within those children. So we know we've got a lot of work to do.
I've gained a lot of information, and I've actually spoke to some lovely people today and made some new friends as well. Because it's quite difficult for me to go to Alnwick. I have been once before, but it is quite a travel for myself, and I find Hexham is more local for me.
So in the last 14 months, maybe moving on to 18 months now, we feel like we've made some progress. Now, for some of you, you might not feel that that's benefiting you in any way, but we feel that we have made some progress. And the written statement of action that was given to us has allowed us really to focus quite significantly on the areas that we need to move quickly on. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an understanding of what we've done in the last few months since we got the written statement of action. So we have, I have to say, worked much more closely within it together. They represent parents on our SEND strategic board, which is the board that is in place to manage the written statement of action, and that helps drive forward the improvements. The term co-production, which was not a term that I was particularly familiar with, is almost in my daily vocabulary, and although it's not a term I like because I think it's very clinical in the way that it talks, Elizabeth and Eileen certainly remind me on an almost daily basis of the need to ensure that everybody's voices are heard, and they provide opportunities for us to be challenged on some of the areas that we think we're doing well on, and they are a very challenging voice in that SEND strategic board.
Very much.
Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Yeah, good. It's not panto season, so I won't repeat that. So I'm Barry Jones. It's my privilege to be here today. So massive thanks for being, for the crew inviting me. I work with the National Development Team for Inclusion, and I'm the North East and North West Regional Preparing for Adulthood Coordinator. I always have to take a breath. It's one of those. I'm going to win titles for a long, win a competition for a long title. I think I didn't create it. I just want to pick up and reflect. I think Cath's gone really. Just pick up from a national team's perspective. I think we're really heartened to hear and see directors and executive directors to come out and working with and extending our partnership with parents and carers. It doesn't happen sadly in every single local area, but actually it's really great from a national perspective to see someone stood in front of you and sharing the experience with you in terms of, we understand what's going on locally. It's not good enough, it's not what we aspire to do or we aspire to be, and we want to work with you together to make it better. I appreciate that doesn't necessarily make your experience any better in the room, and I get that. And I actually heard the word fight and battle, a number of times, and I know and I feel that that's the experience of some or many of you in the room. And actually, when we go back in time around the Children and Families Act coming in and the SEND reforms, that was one of the many reasons why it needed a real big shake-up of the system, because that was the lived experience of parents and carers and family members, that they were feeling they were having to fight for their children and young people. So today, what we're kind of looking at is getting it right, okay? And there's only so much we can do as individuals, isn't there, to get things right, but there are things we can do to get things right. What I would like to do today is work with you to begin to explore what can we do as individuals in that. Yeah, we can only affect change so much, but what can we do in our own roles as parents, carers and family members to help get it right more often and more consistently, okay?
This is our first conference in Hexham, and I'm absolutely delighted with the turnout. I wasn't expecting a huge number of people to turn up, but we were oversubscribed, which is absolutely fantastic. And it gives us a focus to make sure that we are involving people from the West going forward in it together.
Yeah, and I'm really kind of proud of being part of the team, because I think my job's often going around and helping fanning the flames in people's bellies, just to reignite what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. So when we hear of stories of social workers who've got large caseloads and computer systems don't work together, we work with them to get them back to remember what they came to work for, to improve the life chances of children and young people. And I've never met a social worker, a teacher, or anybody else that's paid to come and work with us as part of that community change that didn't come in the job to do that in the first place. Many of them are broken down by the systems around them, but when we tap back into what is it we're trying to do, how can we do that, then we start seeing kind of smiles on faces, we start reigniting people's imagination, and then we start delivering real sustained change.
I thought that it was really useful. It was really nice to meet such a range of parents, to listen to what Barry had to say, to find out a bit more about the Parent Carer Forum and what they've been doing, but also to hear the different stories that people have, the different journeys that they've had, but to look at how we can try and improve things for the future. So I found it incredibly useful.
I think the last year, particularly for me personally, has been a real journey. Co-production was not a word that I used or was in my vocabulary up until about 14 months ago, and the In It Together Forum have helped me to realise the importance of that statement and the importance of that work. And it's more than just a word, it is about how we can work together more effectively in the future to deliver better services.
So, that said, if throughout today you've heard anything, had a conversation with someone on your table, had a light bulb moment, or thought differently about something else, and you think, I really must do this now as a result, what I invite you to do is write it down on a post-it for you, if you want to. Okay? You might not need to, you might go, no, that's cool, I've got it, it's logged in, I'm going to do something. Alright? So just to spend a moment or two thinking around that, and once you've done that, we're then going to hand back over to Elizabeth. But I would like to say it's been a genuine pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for giving me your time and let me work with you for the last hour or two. And I will be around over lunch. We will be having a chat if you still want one. And if anyone else wants to come and have a chat, I'll be around for a little while too. So genuinely, I mean this. Keep being awesome. I know what you do and how you do it and the amount of energy it takes. So thank you very much for your time.